Governor Murphy is simply out of touch with the basic issues that affect the families in this state. We see that there is an exodus of people from this state because of high property taxes, because of a high sales tax, because of high income taxes, and because of high corporate taxes. This is the tax state. People cannot afford to stay here. This governor is concentrating on marijuana, prisoners' rights, driver's license for undocumented individuals, and expungement. He brought down his group of followers to cheer him on an agenda, in my judgment, is outside the center of this state. His own Democratic Assembly and Senate believes he's too far to the left. This governor, deeply in his heart, is a true progressive, but I believe he's out of touch with the average issues that face New Jersey. Despite the fact he talks about lowering taxes, since he's become governor, the taxes have been raised by the Democratic legislature by more than $3 billion. So when this governor talks about lowering property taxes, clearly you cannot lower property taxes if you're increasing budgets at the state by 11%. There is increased revenue because of a robust national economy. But what is the governor doing with that extra money during this robust economy? He is spending it. What we should be doing is we should be capping government spending at 2% at the state level, very similar to what local municipalities must do. They must live within that budget. This governor is committed to issues that are outside the center. Let me turn this over to the conference leader, John DeMeo.
Thank you, Leader. I just sat there for the better part of an hour and listened to the governor talk a lot about not too much, except for raising taxes and raising expenses on New Jersey families. You know, when he talks about building the wind farms, this is all good, but the aggressive schedule he wants to put it on is going to come back on the average New Jerseyans' electric bill and societal benefit charges. These things have a price. And I think he needs to spend some time in a normal middle-class New Jerseyans' life for a while and see how we struggle in New Jersey to keep up with that ever-rising bill, the taxes he wants to raise, and on and on. He talked about how great our education system is, and that's probably the one thing we can agree on. We have a tremendous education system. We spend about at least $200,000 average on a K through 12 education in the state of New Jersey. And then we have that child that we've made a significant investment in, oftentimes go off to another state to go to school. And they start living in that state and realizing, hey, this state is a lot less expensive, lower taxes than where I live. If I go back, I'm not going to live as well. You may have companies that are co-located in New Jersey and North Carolina, for example, which has a much lower CBT and a whole host of taxes that are less than ours. And they can raise a family in another state, take that $200,000 investment that we've made in that one person, and never come back because it's simply unaffordable. And I don't think that he's getting it. There was not one mention of how we're going to reform property taxes. There needs to be some more change in the school funding formula. You know, for example, there's times we're shifting aid now where we've been overfunding some schools and underfunding others, and they've been picking up at the local level, but there was nothing in the bill that would force any of that money to go back to the property taxpayer. And the local Board of Ed and superintendents, I guess it's their nature, when you talk to them about maybe cutting the property tax rate on their own, they go, well, we can make new programs. But the point is, we really need to reform property taxes, and not by raising another state tax. We need to do something fundamentally with the costs of education in New Jersey. I could go on and on. We had, in 2017 and 2018, we lost about $1.5 billion in income, and we gained 8.3. That's a net loss of $3.2 billion. And this has been happening year after year after year because of the outmigration. We rank dead last in places to retire, in cost of living, and cost of taxes. And people aren't stupid. If they can go, they go. And we need to stop that. And the only way we're going to stop it is make New Jersey more affordable. This governor has got to understand we can't keep growing government. We raised $38.6 billion in revenue, and we can't properly fund our school system. We need to stop adding new programs, stop growing government, catch up on the bill we owe, and go forward. Not one mention to help the middle-class property taxpayer. So we're going to keep talking about these issues, folks, and I'll tell you what, he went on a whole other mission today with regard to the, the ethical things with men and women in settings. I think he could lead the way and take the gag order off his campaign staff.
If you think anyone watched the State of the State and they changed their mind about whether they're going to move from the state of New Jersey, I think you're wrong. If you noticed, every third or fourth paragraph, this governor either blamed Washington, D.C., or he blamed the Christie administration. They've been in power for 2 years. I understand it's a really good narrative to blame the former governor or a president who may not be popular in New Jersey. That's a really good narrative when you have not lowered property taxes, when you have not addressed the basic economic issues of this state. This is the narrative that he continues to use. Here's a fella who's really friendly, who is a salesman at Goldman Sachs, who is very personable and continues to blame someone else. Time is up. The ball's in your court, Mr. Governor. Take responsibility and tell people why they should not move. Tell people why this is the place you should bring your business. Give us a reason why you should not move to Florida. Tell us what you're going to do to lower the cost of living in the state. Let us know. We understand what you concentrate on, but listen, New Jerseyans are pretty smart. If they think it's a good deal to stay, they'll stay. Right now, they don't think New Jersey's a good deal. Turn it over to our new whip, the Honorable Ned Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. When you have a governor that starts with, if taxes are your biggest concern, then New Jersey is not your state, you know you have a problem. As a business provider, as a services for businesses, we have our clients moving out of state. He talks about 75,000 jobs that were created, but he doesn't talk about the 10,000 jobs that left this state. It's a net loss. We're losing ground. And the biggest 800-pound gorilla is $150 billion underfunded in our pension system today. As a pension actuary, I can tell you, I've been on a board of pensions for 23 years and watched they erode away the pension excesses that were there in the 90s. We have to stop spending on new projects and paying our bills that we need to fund now. And you cannot just balance your checkbook by saying I still have checks in there, I must still have money. It's not the way it works in the state of New Jersey or anywhere else. Thank you.
Leader, Conference Leader Munoz.
Sorry, I couldn't get through the crowds there. I don't know what you already spoke about, mostly
That's okay.
economic policies, but there were a couple of things that actually struck me as a woman, which was the issues about the, the transparency in government and what we're going to do about that, because I'd like to see that transparency go and have the governor release the non-disclosure agreements from the campaign and from the transition team as well. I was part of that, the group on the, to look into the Katie Brennan thing, and he still hasn't released that. When he said misogyny is alive and well, that's an unfortunate statement to have to say. So I think we need to do more work on that, and I think he needs to release the people from those non-disclosure agreements, and we need to go forward from that. The other thing that I was struck about was the New Jersey Transit. It's much better, he says. I disagree. Our district, John and mine, is directly impacted by New Jersey Transit and whether they stay on schedule and how many trains are canceled, and we have not seen an improvement. We need to see an improvement. As a member of the Budget Committee, the last 2 budget cycles, we haven't seen an increase in the funding for the New Jersey Transit. We need to see that improve. That affects the economy of the state of New Jersey, and it affects not only the economy, but the property values, and which directly impacts the middle class. So those were two things besides the obvious things about the budget and other things that really struck me were those two topics. So I think we have a lot more work to do. I'm willing to work with the governor and with Senator Weinberg and Assemblywoman Pinto Marin on these issues on the non-disclosures and go forward from there. So thank you.
Before I introduce Serena DeMassa, if you noticed when the governor came out, he was excited. And in his normal course, he jumps up and down, and he's totally committed to what he's going to say. He's very, very happy. He's excited. I'm just not sure the people in New Jersey are all that excited. But it works because he looks like he's fully engaged. He throws his hands up. He goes, you know, things are great. You know, we're taking care. We almost have marijuana passed. We've dealt with these issues. Unfortunately, I just don't think people are as excited as he is about his policies. But it looked good. Serena DeMassa, Assemblywoman.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to talk to you really as a mom, because he stood and told us that New Jersey is the smartest state in the nation. And you know what? We're so smart, we're voting with our feet. And as a mom who has 4 children, who just graduating college and all that, 2 of them have moved out of state. And not because they couldn't find a job here, but because it's so much cheaper to live somewhere else. So he's breaking up families. Our usual Sunday dinners are not usual anymore. They're a special occasion. And so we need to work together to bring this state of New Jersey back to the state, not only that you want to live in, but that you can afford to live in, and that we raise our children. I chose to live in this state. 27 years ago, I chose the state of New Jersey. And I want my children and my children's children to be able to choose this state as well. And they won't be able to choose it if we continue down on this path of reckless spending and just overwhelming debt. So I ask you to join with us and really support us as we move forward in holding the governor accountable for tax cuts and for making New Jersey an affordable place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Happy to answer your questions with one final comment, and that is that I don't see this governor working well with his own Democratic legislature. He talks about tax incentives. Businesses are now confused because he and the Senate president are unable to put a package together to continue with incentives which compete with other states. They're necessary. Maybe you need some reforms, but he needs to work with the legislature. He's completely failed to work with the legislature. I have not seen any real communication between himself, the Senate president, nor our caucus. On that, happy to answer any questions.